When Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus into his royal palace, the king loved Esther more than all the women, and she won grace and favor in his sight more than all the other virgins, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. It is Monday, the 24th day of July, 2023, and it's time for the reading of our devotional thought, which is heard here on Lighthouse Christian Radio on the top of every even hour, 24 hours a day. And our devotional thought is being read from the devotional book entitled Truth for Life by pastor and author Alistair Begg. Today's devotional thought is entitled Not Always Tidy. And the verses today, Esther chapter 2, verses 16 and 17, and it reads, When Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus into his royal palace, the king loved Esther more than all the women, and she won grace and favor in his sight more than all the other virgins, so that he set the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. That's Esther chapter 2, verses 16 and 17. In today's devotional thought, Pastor Alistair Begg writes, Ahasuerus, the Jewish girl who became queen of Persia, is better known to us by her Persian name Esther, which means star. She was an orphan, adopted by her cousin, and she was especially attractive. Esther chapter 2, verse 7. When the king held a beauty pageant in search for a new queen, Esther was taken into the king's palace and put in custody of Hegai, who was in charge of the women. Up to this point, she had concealed her Jewish nationality. Hegai, the eunuch in charge of all the women, was especially pleased with Esther, quickly advancing her, and, when it was her turn to go before the king, he coached her accordingly. Esther chapter 2, verse 9, as well as verse 15. It worked out well, as she won first prize and was made queen. Esther was in a position to help her people, and there's nothing to suggest that her goal was anything greater than wearing the crown. This story has elements that are awkward and difficult. The average Jewish mother would not have been thrilled to find out that her Hadassah was sleeping with an uncircumcised pagan king. The average Jewish father would not have been thrilled to know that his Hadassah had gone undercover in Persia and refused to let anyone know about her kindred, her background, or identity. She may have been a heroine in this story, but she was a heroine of questionable morality and orthodoxy. It isn't necessary, however, for us to approvingly reflect on the path Esther took. While we recognize that God was providentially in control of the drama that was taking place in her life, we don't need to say that she made good decisions every step of the way. God, in His providence, granted Esther a little piece of the unfolding drama. But we are to look past Esther and her choices to the true hero in the story, God, who is committed to working out all things for the welfare of His people. The event of Esther's story was not as tidy as we might perhaps wish. Of course, that's not an excuse to intentionally make decisions that aren't pleasing to God, but it is a reason to be encouraged, because the events of God's providence in our lives are not always tidy as we might wish either. Review your own life and realize that although not all of your decisions have been right ones, not all your plans have been selfless, God in His providence have brought you to this day. As you tell your story, be determined to tell of the true hero, God, who is the first and the last, who is working His purposes out in your life. And that concludes our devotional thought for today. What a great reminder that God is working all things together for His purposes, and truly, He is the hero to our story. And may you find that as your story is being written today, God truly is the hero and works all things out well. And for those of you reading through the scriptures in a year, your assignment today is Psalms 35 and 36, as well as the book of Acts, chapter 17, verses 1 through 15. Clive Walsh here. May the Lord bless you, give you a great day, and may He bless you in a special way today.